We're going to learn a little bit about using JavaScript to go to other pages, but we're going to learn a lot of other stuff too. Let's take a quick look here. Here's the page. Here it asks for URL text, so here's something new. We're going to see how to create an input field that allows us to enter text. And I'm going to type https://www.morningside.edu. And if I click open here, it opens the Morningside page here in this. Now if I go over and I type open in a new tab, look, it opens a new tab and opens the page into there. So we're going to learn how to do that, but we're going to learn a little bit about this stuff as well. So let's take a look at the code right here. Now we have our buttons, and our buttons are working as usual. I mean, down here we have two buttons, and you already know how to make buttons. But this thing right here, this input field, not so much the text inside the input field, but the input field itself, we get from this right here. So you'll see that this is a singleton tag. So like images, or similar to images, input elements are created with a single tag. Name of the element is input. That's a real shocker, right? We have our ID, and then we have the type, and the type matters because there are a lot of different things we can get from an input element. A lot of different things we could have the element do. In this case, we're using type text, and type text allows us to put text into it. I guess that makes sense. We have two other attributes here that we're looking at. We have size and we have max length. Size tells us how big this thing is. Max length gives us the maximum number of characters that are allowed. So for example, if I reduced max length to 10 and I reduced size to 5 and I save it and I reload, you notice how this is much smaller now? That's because we've made it size only 5. And max length, if I said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, oh, it won't let me go to K. You notice that? Won't let me type K because if you look at this, I have typed in exactly 10 letters. And max length won't let me type in any more characters at all. So that's what happens. Size gives us how wide this is. Max length gives us the maximum number of characters that we're allowed to put in there. So I'm going to go back to 25 and 100. And I'll save that, and I'll come back here and I'll reload. And we're back to where we were. And you'll notice that when this gets the focus, when I click on here, this gets blue all the way around it, or it gets there's a visual change to let you know that this item has the focus. So that's how we do input. We use an input element, we use an input tag, and we're almost always going to have an ID because we want to get things from the element. We have a type. Our type is text, and if we have type text, then we need to use size and max length attributes. Now we have two buttons. And these two buttons take us to two different event handlers, APNS cur tab and new tab. So let's go look at the event handlers. Well, here they are right here. Now you notice we've declared a variable here and a variable here. Excuse me. Just as we have variables up here, we created this variable APPNS. Globally, it can be seen anywhere in here, anything down below. We can create variables locally. This variable only exists inside this function. We can't access it from outside the function. We can only access it from inside. That's why this one and this one can have the same name. They're actually different variables. This one only exists here, and this one only exists here inside this. And you notice that we're getting the text. Now the text that we typed in here, right down here, we're getting by using document.getElementById URL text. That's the ID of this thing. So we're grabbing it from here. And this area where we put the text in is not the inner HTML, but it's the value. And so we use .value to get that particular text. So this gets the text and puts it in here, and similarly this gets the text and puts it in here. So remember, for an input field, we get the text, or the place here, this place where the text goes, we get by putting in the value, okay? And then we actually jump to where we want to go. Now, if we want to stay in the same window here, then we use window.location. That's what gets the URL text. If instead I want to go to a new one, for instance, again, we'll just put in https www.morningside.edu, and if I click open in a new tab, then it uses this one. It uses window.open to open the page in the new window. So where it opens depends on which of these we use, either window.location or window.open. One other thing that's important to notice here is that window.open is a function. You can tell that because of the open parenthesis and the close parenthesis when we send the URL text in. Now window.location is not, it's called a property. When we have a property, we put a value into the property by using assignment. We use the equal sign, remember that says gets, so this says window.location gets URL text. Here we're calling a function. So window is a big object that is provided for us with all sorts of wonderful functionality, and it has functions. Here's a function, and you notice here there's window on load. We're creating a function for that as well. So it has functions, but it also has properties. Location is a property because we can just assign to it a location. So a property like location is a place that holds data, holds information, and a function does something. So open receives this information, and then it does stuff internally that we can't see in order to open the new window. So if we have here a property, then it holds data. If we have a function, then it does an action or multiple actions. It does something. And you notice that we've created our own object as well. Up here, appns is an object, and we have created two functions for it. So our object here just has two functions attached to it, that's all, but we're creating the same sort of thing here that JavaScript provides us with window. And now you know how to jump to a different place using JavaScript.